Hi, welcome to No Story Stagnates with me, Ernie Boxall, and it's my honour today to be talking to Julie Kiefer. Julie's in the UK at the moment, but I do know that Julie travels a little bit. So, Julie, would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Julie Kiefer. Um, I'm born in France, and I've been fascinated by culture and exploring the world from a young age. And I used to dream about that day I have my own business that helps to reduce the gender inequality gap and bring people from a different background together. I'm a swimmer, I've trained competitively, yoga practitioner, and I'm a believer. I have a notebook full of ideas on how to make this work a better place. And I would say I'm kind of a perfectionist. I used to strive to be the best, and I learned to kind of live with that. In terms of what I'm doing, I'm the proud founder of the Diabetic Travelers Network. It's a social impact organization that helps people with diabetes see that their diagnosis does not prevent them to live a life of freedom through traveling the world. And I'm also a business and marketing coach.
Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. And Julie, I'm going to start off with the first question that I ask all of my guests. Do
Okay.
you know how your mother and father met for the first time? And would you mind telling
Yeah,
us?
yeah, that's fine. They actually met in a pub back in France. My mom was with her friend, and my dad was there as well. He wanted to invite her for a drink, but she kept saying no. And one day, she finally said yes.
Yeah. And how long was that before you were born?
um, hmm, I think four years or 5 years.
Right. So you know your story from before you were born.
Yeah.
And what a great place to start any story when you're giving a presentation. My mother and father met in a pub. But Julie, from the years 1 to 10, do you have a story from those early years which really made a difference to you?
Yes.
Ah, good.
So at the age of 4, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. It's a condition where my
Ah,
pancreas doesn't produce insulin, which means that I need to take insulin basically to stay alive. So that really impacted my childhood in the fact that everything I was doing was constantly dictated by other people's opinion on my abilities.
ah,
You know, what can I do, what can I eat, and all of this. So I think from a very young age, it gave me the power to really stand up for myself. And it taught me that, what I was doing was depending on me and not other people's opinion. And diabetes also allowed me to have a very healthy lifestyle because I
yeah,
learned nutrition for a very, very young age. So, eating healthy, practicing sport, and being mindful is part of my life now, which
wonderful,
it is.
wonderful. I'd just like to ask, as a follow up to that, Julie, and it's just come into my head, being a father myself, did your mother and father, did they try and cuddle you a little bit? Did they try and protect you? Or did they send you out into the world anyway uh, in those early years?
Um, I would say that they a bit of both, I think,
Ah,
because my mom was kind of there teaching me how to, count carbs and all those kind of things. When
yes,
I had to go on school trip, I was not always allowed to go, so my mom would come with me or find a way to hire a nurse so I could still go and experience those things with all the other children because
yes,
otherwise the school system might have not allowed me to go there.
of
So
course.
they've been very supportive. And when I was 4, my mom was actually 27. So
Right.
I cannot imagine how stressful it's been for her to discover that.
Aha. Uh-huh. And so you were taking, did you have to take injections or?
Yeah, injection.
And for a child of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that must have been. pretty yuck. So,
Yeah.
yeah, carry on, Julie.
No, at the time they didn't have the same technology that we have now.
Yeah.
So, it was finger pricking, and also I have a syringe and I had to do the mix on my own. So I was doing that on my own at 8. So, I think when
Yes.
I learned very fast, and you just have to adapt. And that's a very good lesson for me on how you can adapt to the situation.
Yes, I was going to say, is that the lesson that you learned from it?
Yeah, the lesson I learned is really don't pay attention to what people think. You can do everything you set your mind to, and human being is an amazing piece because
Beautiful.
you're able to change.
Beautiful. And so we move on then, Julie. At school, in those first 10 years, were you a team player? Did you have lots of friends, or were you a little bit of an individual?
Until 10, you mean?
Up to 10, when at your first schools?
Yeah, I think I was always, I like connecting with people. I'm quite of an extrovert in that sense. I was, as I say, I swam with a club.
Yes.
I started, I was 6, so I was always, with the sport community and friends and people around.
Right. And how did your friends or the other swimmers treat you? They knew you probably had to take injections, so.
Not all of them, no, because I actually start talking publicly and share about my diabetes later on in life.
Right.
When I was younger, I would just do like I don't have it in front of people. Maybe my best friend will know, but that will definitely be it.
Right. So if we can move on then, Julie. So we go to the years 11 to 20, and you must have a couple of stories from your teenage years, which, if you'd like to tell us about.
Yeah, of course. I need to think. I guess for me, in those years, I kind of often strive to be the best. I was quite of a perfectionist, as I say, so I worked very hard to get into the best school, get qualification after qualification, and I really saw that was my way to freedom.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about it maybe later, that I learned the hard way that this was not the case.
Right. So are there a couple of stories that you have in those years?
Well, I would say something that really impacted my life is that at the age of 18, I entered a preparatory course for high distinction major that we have in France to enter the Grande École. And that's basically 2 years of intensive work where you basically have no life. All my Saturday morning was like 4-hour exams straight.
Yeah.
And I was there with those people, and we were always, there was too much information, but we had to find a way of making work. It taught me a lot of management, time management, and how to optimize the use of my time.
Yes. And were you all high achievers at that school? You were all high achievers. Were you competitive?
Well, you have to, because it's an entrance exam, and basically you compete against everyone in France. So I focus on competing against kind of the overall, and as a school where we were all together trying to support each other.
Yes. And again, so how did you find making friends in an environment like that?
It kind of came naturally. I know that I find that the friend I had from there, we are still very, very close because we've been through so much together.
Yes.
It's very stressful. You have a lot of oral exam, and they really push you to your limit.
Yes. I can sort of, would you equate that? I know that certainly I was on a kibbutz during the Yom Kippur War. I'm not Jewish, but I was there. That's another story. But because it was during the war, the friends that I made there, we spent 6 months not knowing whether the bombs were going to fall tomorrow. So that is it's a different kind of friendship, I think.
Yeah.
When you go through adversity and when you go through stressful situations together. So you do tend often to make friends from there for life. And
No, that's true.
yeah, and are they still in France, your friends, or have they traveled with you?
They're still in France.
Can you tell us a little bit about your travels? Did you travel in those teenage years?
Well, I used to go on holiday with my family, and we used to go in south of France or Italy.
Yeah.
I really started to travel on my own in 2015.
Yes.
Basically, with the university I was in, I had the opportunity to do a 6-month internship abroad, and that's why I went to Australia.
Yes.
And from there, it basically never stopped. I think since then I traveled in 28 countries. I've been an expat in 3 different ones.
Yes.
You have this travel bug that is like
Oh,
taking you.
I am a traveller. I understand. But what was your first journey without the family? Was that Australia?
Yes.
So how did your mother and father take that? They were happy for that?
They told me, please come back, because there were a lot of people that, they go to Australia, and rightly so. It's amazing. Never come back.
And did you travel Australia, or did you go to one place in particular?
So I was based in Brisbane, and because I was traveling with my diabetes, right, it was kind of like a lot of supply to bring with me. So I was based in Brisbane, and then I traveled up north to Cairns and up down to Sydney.
Right.
It's a lot of, in terms of size, it's like the size of France from one side to the other, but on the map is like this little thing.
Yeah. And did you hitchhike in Australia, or were all your journeys booked on trains or buses or aeroplanes?
I did. Well, I took the plane.
Yeah.
Because it's so vast. And once I took a bus, a night bus, and I basically slept on the bus to go from point A to point B, because it was like 8 hours travel.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? When you think of a country like that. Do you surf? Do you swim? Well, of course you swim. Did you go into the sea?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I don't surf though.
Ah, right. Okay. That's for the future. Yeah. So we're coming on to your 20s. Excuse me. We're coming on to your 20s, Julie. A story in your 20s that makes a real impact on you.
Well, I would say that's where I travel so much.
Right.
So to me, taking the step of traveling with my diabetes was quite a big step, because I had to make sure I have everything and truly be confident on my ability to deal with whatever will happen. If you're too high or too low, it can be dangerous for your health. So that's one of it.
Yeah.
I think I've seen most of the world in those years.
Right.
I've learned, I've seen so many culture and people, and that what really gave me the drive to start my own company was that I saw a very strong inequality globally in terms of access of information and access to care globally.
How many languages do you speak?
3. I speak French, English, Spanish, and I understand Italian. Because my mom's Italian. So I've kind of been brought up with it.
Do you find that there have been occasions where you've used them?
Yeah.
On holidays or for business?
For business, mostly English,
Yeah.
especially when I work as a business coach or,
Yeah.
digital marketing consultant, I use mostly English. Otherwise, Spanish in all the Spanish country. When I went to Colombia, I
Aha.
spoke Spanish, but I started learning Spanish because I went to a trip to Tenerife with my English and
Yes.
nobody understood me. And I was like, I need to learn Spanish now because now everyone
Wonderful.
actually speak it.
But again, it seems as if you said, okay, I need Spanish. I'll learn Spanish.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And is that how you approach life pretty much? I need to do this, so I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, tell me if I'm treading on ground. Has that affected any relationship that you have?
In terms of that I go for things like that.
Well, boyfriends, partners, girlfriends?
I don't think so. I think my friends and family are very understanding of and supportive of everything that I do.
Yeah. I'll hold my hand up, Julie, and say that I think it was my not love of adventure. I almost need a new goal. And that made it very difficult for me to settle down. I've had three, excuse me, three very, very wonderful partners who have all left me because of my sort of inability to live in the same house as someone. Some people call it selfishness. I don't know. It's how I've always been. I've always wanted to do what I wanted to do. And that made it very difficult to live with someone who also wanted to do, or who wanted me there more often. And so do you find that, or are you aware of that?
I would say that personally, I place a big importance of balance in everything that I do.
Yeah.
It means that I will work on my business and I will travel, but I will also liberate time to spend with myself and my family, and that's very important. I think
Yes.
that's gives me a kind of balance. Of course, I need to be surrounded by people that kind of we vibes together, right? I understand them and they understand me.
Yes.
I don't think, because I'm always trying to grow, and I think that's what life is about, experiencing new things and, pushing on the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I know that I will not probably work very well with someone that just wants to stay where they are, and
Right.
that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that thought in mind, where do you see the future?
I see a bright future. I see the DTN becoming this community I'm dreaming about, with people coming from all around the world and a network that we group health professional and diabetic together.
Yeah.
I see a lot of travel when this COVID thing is going to be over.
Yeah. Do you have a team working with you, Julie, or is this really you on your own?
I work with freelancers, so I have a VA that is really great that helped me.
Yeah, yeah. But you do all the technical
At
stuff?
the moment, yes.
Yeah.
Or I outsource this to freelancer if it's too
yeah,
tricky.
Right. Now, well, that's your story, Julie. And have you thought about writing a book?
I actually wrote a guide, but not a book about my story.
Yeah. So, we've got your story from before you were born. We've got that really brave, I would say brave story from 1 to 10. And we've got that teenage years where you search for perfection. And then the 20s, where you perhaps decided that you were good enough anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so that is your story. And as I say, I can only see good things, Julie. You seem to have a plan in your mind as to what you want to happen. Can you see, I mean, you probably didn't plan for COVID, did you? So what will happen, do you think, when COVID finishes? Will you get straight on a plane and travel? Or will you stay where you are for a while?
I'd like to go on a holiday, to be honest. Like, it's
Right.
been a year that we are kind of locked. I think I'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
But I also think that, yes, I always have a plan, but life always happen.
Yeah.
What I find out is that the plan rarely work out the way you wanted it anyway.
Right.
So
But you're
to stay
adaptable.
open, it's like stay open to what comes, and I really try to see the best in everything.
Great.
And as COVID was there, it was a great opportunity to work from home. It gave me
Yes.
the moment to like quit my 9 to 5 and focus full time on my business. So
Yes.
even if there is bad side of things, there is always kind of a positive we can find if you really want to see it.
I'm pretty sure that without COVID, Julie, we wouldn't have met, would we?
I don't know.
I don't know. But thank you very much. Can you tell everyone where they can connect with you?
Sure. So they can connect with me on Instagram. It's kiefer.julie, Julie. That's where I'm mostly, or anyway, maybe we can link my website and my social media.
Leave the details in the chat, Julie.
Yeah, I will do that.
And I'll make sure that I get them out when this goes. But don't go away, because when I stop the recording, I just want to have a little chat with you afterwards.
No problem. Thank you for having me, Ernie.
It's been a real pleasure, Julie, and everyone. This lady is something special. If you want to know more about her story, just get in touch with Julie Kiefer. I'll put the details in the chat. Have a good day. Take care, everyone. Bye then.